Hi friends, Krista here. Thank you so much for stopping by Books and Jams again today. I am so glad that you are here. Today we are going to be taking a look at the quarter year crisis book tag. It's the same idea as the mid-year book freakout tag, only shorter amount of time. Let's look at the first quarter, see how I'm doing with my goals, how my reading has been going, all that stuff. I will link the original creator of this tag down below, and let's just jump right in. The first question is, how many books have I read so far in 2022? I did have a goal this year of slowing down my reading, but so far I have read 56 books. What? That is not slowing down my reading. However, 32 of those books happened during middle grade March, and I had no intention of slowing down my reading during March. I did slow down a bit in January and February, so I'm expecting that as the months go on, I'm gonna continue to slow down a little bit. But yeah, I'm already at 56, which is just kind of crazy when you think about it. Oh well, it is what it is. Number 2 is, have you already found a book or 2 or 3 or 4 that you think could be a favorite of the year? I have a lot of 5-star reads already this year, but I do have a couple that stand out as potential favorites. As far as middle grade books go, I'm loving the Keeper of the Lost Cities series still. Book 6 I just read in March and it was fabulous. It was so good. I really love this series, and as a series, it potentially could be on my favorites of the year. Also in March, I have already talked about these two, but I really loved The Shape of Thunder by Jasmine Warga. This book takes place 1 year following a school shooting, and these next door neighbor best friends were affected by it. Both of them have an older sibling who died in the school shooting, except one of them was the shooter and one got shot. And it takes a look at these two families and these two girls and how they deal with grief. And these two girls want to time travel back to before the school shooting so that they can fix things. So it just is a deep dive into grief. It was super emotional, so well written, and I loved it. And then also a nonfiction, All 13 by Christina Soontorvant. This is nonfiction about the incredible cave rescue of the Thai boys soccer team that happened in 2018. And this is just filled with information and pictures. And I was on the edge of my seat wondering how they were going to get these boys out of the cave. It seemed to be an impossible situation, and I do believe there's a level of miracle that happened here. It just was an incredibly put together book and a story. I loved it, loved it, loved it. I will be thinking about it for a long time to come, and it's definitely a middle grade that's on my favorites list of the year, 100%. 2 adult books that I really have loved so far this year were All the Lonely People by Gale. This is kind of a curmudgeon story. We meet Hubert Bird, who has isolated himself due to the grief of losing his wife. It kind of goes back and forth in time. We learn how he met his wife and their love story and why he's so isolated right now. And then the nosy neighbor who comes and kind of weasels her way into his heart and his life, and the community that develops because of it. I just thought that this was a lovely story. Really, really loved this one. And then a very, very recent April read, actually, I just read this a couple days ago, is Sparks Like Stars by Nadia Hashimi. I loved this book. This was recommended to me by one of my patrons, and I'm not sure I would have ever picked it up had it not been a patron pick. In this book, we kind of learn about Afghanistan history through the story of Sitara. If you're a fan of Khaled Hosseini's writing, you would probably really like this. I thought the writing was phenomenal, spectacular writing, moments that made me stop and think and pause about the sentences that she put together. Also the story though, it was a little heavy at times and hard to read at times, but so interesting and compelling at the same time. Definitely was an easy 5-star, and I can easily see this being on my favorites list of the year. So that's a few of my favorites so far. The next one, number 3, is, do I have any 1-star reads or least favorite books of the year? And I don't ever really give out 1 stars to books. If I'm not enjoying it that much, I'm just going to stop reading. So if I finish a book, it's at least going to get 2 stars, but usually my lowest is a 3. I very rarely even give out 2 stars. But some of my least favorites, or books that disappointed me, for sure, I can think of Nancy Drew, the first Nancy Drew book, The Secret of the Old Clock. I just really didn't appreciate or enjoy that book very much. And Peter Pan also was a bit of a bummer. And then there was a romance book that I read called No Words by Meg Cabot that just was meh, was kind of a ho-hum. I had higher hopes for it. I think I gave it 3 stars, but it just was not what I was hoping for at the time. Number 4 is your most read genre. And I can't really answer this well because I'm not caught up with my book spreadsheet that I use, and that is where I would get this specific information. But just looking back through my Goodreads list of everything that I've read so far this year, I think it's pretty close between historical fiction, which makes sense, and kind of contemporary or general fiction. Those 2 are my most read so far this year, which makes sense to me. That's mostly what I read. Number 5 is a book that surprised you, and I am going to say Pony by Rj Palacio. This was a fun surprise. I ended up loving this book. Honestly, when people described this and the cover, like there was just things about this that I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to like this book, but I was pleasantly surprised. This is a genre busting book. It's kind of a historical, kind of Western vibes, kind of paranormal. There's a ghost character in here, which is not usually my thing, but the writing was spectacular. The story was compulsive. I really enjoyed this book, and I loved the discussion that we had about it for Middle Grade March. So this was definitely a pleasant surprise so far this year. Number 6 is a book that has come out already in 2022 that you haven't yet read, that you're still looking forward to. And for this, I'm gonna direct you to my anticipated reads videos. I have 2 of them, one for January, February, and March, and one for April, May, and June. I will link them in the description below, but I have a bunch of books that have come out already that I'm very eager to read. One that stands out in my mind is The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. I'm really looking forward to this book by Kate Quinn. She writes historical fiction, gets a little gritty, isn't afraid to kind of go there with her characters. So it's usually about a real life person, and that I believe is what's going to happen with The Diamond Eye. It's going to be, I think, about a young woman librarian who becomes a sharpshooter, or like a what's that called? Not sharpshooter. I don't know. Like what's it called? Sharpshooter. I'm really looking forward to that one, and it's actually, my hold has come in at the library for it. So it might get read this month. We'll see. But I'm very much looking forward to that one, as well as all the others in those anticipated reads videos. So feel free to check those out if you missed them. The next 2 questions deal with your goals for the year. So the first question, number 7, is what's a goal that you made? What's a goal that you made in 2022 that you're succeeding at? And then 8 is what's a goal that you really need to focus on? I've not done great with updating this page. This is my goals page in my journal. I've not done great with updating my journal at all. But I will say my NetGalley has increased. It was at 36 at the beginning of the year. It's currently at 40. I have added a ton of books, but I've also been reading a bunch of them. So I've increased a little bit, which is, I'm proud of that. I have read 2 of the 4 authors I wanted to read this year. I've read a book from Heather Gutenkopf, and just last night I finished a book by Billy Coffey. So I'm halfway done with that goal. It's only the first quarter. I'm pleased with that. And I've read one of my Catherine Ray books that I wanted to read. I want to read all of her books that I own, and I've read 1 so far. I haven't done great with the no-buy months, but there's still lots of months left. I want to get through 6 months of no buying. So far I have 1. And then question 8 is what's a goal that you made that you need to focus on? I don't think I've read any book of the month books yet, and I want to read 12. So I'm reading at least 2 this month. So that will knock off 2. And there's a couple more that I've recently gotten that I'm very excited for, like I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetys, and what was the other one? The Maid by Nita Prose is another one that I really want to read soon. So I'm confident still that I can get that goal, but I do need to focus on it a little bit, as well as Christmas book exchange books. I have not done great with reading Christmas book exchange books yet. I'm okay. I'm not great with any of the goals. I haven't completed any, which is fine. It's only first quarter, but I'm really pleased that I've already read 4 new authors. I haven't gone through to check about series, but I don't think I'm doing great with series either. So I'm about where I expect to be at first quarter. We'll take a deeper look at this midway through the year, and hopefully I have made a lot more progress and filled it in But as of right now, I'm okay with where I'm at. And then the last question is, are there any new to you booktubers, bookstagrammers, book talkers for 2022 that you recommend? I don't watch TikTok at all. I already have my hands full between BookTube, Instagram, and podcasts that I listen to. So I'm not going to include any book talkers. And honestly, Bookstagram is not where I go to meet new people because I take that BookTube takes care of that side of things for me. But I do have a handful. First of all, anybody that was in my middle grade March collab video that came out on March 1st, there were a ton of brand new booktubers in that video. So I would love for you to go watch that video again and like check out some of their channels. But also, and I tag you, if you were in that MGM collab, I'm tagging you to do this quarter year book tag, but also some that I found very recently. Denise from La Rosa Reads, I found her just before March. We didn't connect enough for her to get in that video. I wanted her to be in the video with her girls, but Denise from La Rosa reads pretty similarly to me in some respects. She loves historical fiction and contemporary and a little bit of fantasy. She reads a little bit of everything, which I love. But she's fantastic. Reading with a Vengeance, I think I just found this weekend. So I don't even know her first name. Reading with a Vengeance and Book Talks with Mrs. Thomas is another book, new to me booktuber that I've just connected with recently. So I would love for you to check out La Rosa Reads, Reading with a Vengeance, and Book Talks with Mrs. Thomas. And I will link all three of their channels down below. And I would love to see, ladies, the three of you do this tag if you would like to. And that is it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this look at my readings so far this year. I'm pretty pleased. I've read some fabulous books. I had a much bigger stack of favorites of the year to show you. I tried to narrow it down a little bit because I've just read some really great books this year, which is really exciting. It's going to make the end of the year hard to choose favorites, but I'm really pleased with what I have so far. I'm looking forward to so many of my anticipated reads. I'm pleased that some of my goals are getting accomplished. I would love to hear how your reading is doing. Do you have a book that you've read already that you think could be a favorite of the year? Or among your favorites of the year? Let's chat about that down in the comments below, or anything else. You know I love talking with you down there. I really appreciate you spending some time watching today and hanging out with me, and I look forward to talking with you in another video very soon. Bye!